Welcome to Ready Set RC, and today we're going to do a final thoughts review on the Kyosho Fazer 1970 Dodge Charger VE Supercharged. And this is a brushless on-road RC. And we've had quite a few Fazers on the channel up until this point, but this is the first brushless one that is in a on-road classic American body style. For you guys that are new to the channel, welcome. This is where we do our final thoughts of the RC to this point. So for you guys who have not seen the prior videos, where we do a comparisons of this with other RCs, we do an overview of the RC, we show the running of this RC. Please do go check out those videos. There is a playlist of all these videos all in one, so pick and choose as you see fit, guys. But in this one, we're just gonna simply talk about our experiences with the electronics, drivetrain, workability, support, the new segment of these videos, which is who is this RC for? The star system, which is 1 star for someone who is a complete noob to RC, to 5 stars, the guy that's the full-on expert. He has a few RCs, he's done almost everything you could think about with an RC, and he's out there giving tips and tricks out to other people within the community. And then the opinionated parts of the discussion, which is it worth it? And would I buy it again? So for electronics, let's touch on the transmitter and receiver. I tend to like this transmitter. I really do. I like how ergonomical it is. I like the feather touch of the throttle. I like all the tuning ability that they give you. So they give you throttle trim, throttle EPA, steering dual rate, the reverse switches on here for throttle and reverse. I mean, it gives you quite a bit on here. You have the on-off switch right here. And also on the rear of the transmitter, you can change the throttle position. So if you want it 50-50, I believe it's 70-30 for the other way that you want to set it up. And then it has a third switch down here. It is an ergonomical transmitter, so that means that it's at an angle. Hopefully you guys are able to see that. And it's a nice foam wheel, guys. Takes 4 AA's down below. I just like how it feels. I mean, this pretty much every Kyosho that I own comes with this transmitter except for my Mini. But outside of that, they all come with this controller. I've had no issues with it, and I actually like it. The range is pretty good. The responsiveness is excellent on it, and it has a nice grip on the back side of it that just feels good in the hand. It's not one of those that's too easy to drive with one hand, but the way it's set up, it's not designed to. But I do like it. I do like this controller. It gives you the ability to charge it if you run chargeable battery packs in this controller. This is a brushless setup. It's a 4,000 kV brushless motor, more than enough power than you're gonna need on this. As I mentioned before, the other overview videos, I go more in depth in regards to the motor and the ESC and the servo on here. But this one, I'm just talking about my experiences with it. And it's more than enough power with the brushless motor and ESC. The servo on this, I had no problems with the speed of the servo, the power of the servo. These tires aren't huge, so moving them around isn't something that I rarely ran into an issue with it. The speed for this type of RC and the videos that you'll see with me driving this RC, it's on 2S. That's a ton of power. You can drive this on 3S. I probably won't recommend it, but it is a ton of fun, guys. I mean, you get with these tires, you get the rooster tails, you get it sliding around, but yet it still gives you the grip. I found with the stock tires, they just did not perform the way I would expect this. Now, it's the same compound that you find on their brushless, the same compound that you find on their brushed RCs. So it just didn't do it for me, guys. It just did not do it for me. So I had to switch. So getting back to the servo, more than enough power than you're gonna need for this setup. Of course, if you're a servo snob, it's never gonna be enough for you, but I think for an RTR, I thought it did fairly well for me. It has not had, I have not had any issues with how that servo is running at this time. Drivetrain, and now we'll talk about the front drive shafts, the center drive shaft, and the rear drive shafts. For you guys that are familiar with the Fazer lineup, it comes with composite dog bones in the front, composite dog bones in the rear, and a metal drive shaft down the center, at least for the brushless editions. For the brush edition, you get a composite drive shaft down the center. I would have liked to have seen with some form of metal drive shafts in the front and in the rear. Steel is acceptable, whatever. Composite, thought was a little bit holding it back. I didn't have any issues with them. I never had an issue with my Fazer's composite dog bones that are in the front and the rear. It is an optional part that you can buy for this RC, but it's one of those things that I would have liked to have seen on it from the beginning. Now the metal center drive shaft is in there. That's perfect. I have no issues with how that's been holding up so far on the car. I've had no issues with my pinion and my spur in this car, nothing stripping out. The mesh in this is a set mesh, so it's one of those that has the ABCD type thing that you set the mesh based on the pinion that you have on your motor shaft. And I'm running the stock gearing in here. No issues with it stripping out. As for the differentials in the rear and also in the front, no issues with the differential and the amount of load that is coming from this system. Workability. I can't really touch much on this one, guys. And the reason for that is it's an on-road car. I haven't done much on this one, but I have done work in regards to the shell. So I have set up the remote system in regards to the louvers in the front. I have lights in the shell, but in regards to the chassis, I have done no work on this car. I've worked on my other Fazers, the MK2 ones, which are the brushed versions. The VEs are the brushless. And those I've worked on the chassis before, tore them down, removed certain items, removed all the masking that they have in reference to the ESC and the motor, removed my motor, removed my servo. I've done work on those cars, and it's fairly simple. It's a tub style chassis. If you've worked on Tamiyas, you've worked on the Traxxases, you've worked on other RCs with that tub style chassis, it's going to be no different than this one. So as I said, I've worked on the brush ones before. No issues in working on them. This is the same style chassis. It is the longer wheelbase chassis that I also have on those brushed ones. And I've had no problems in working on this, on those. So I don't foresee me having a problem working on this either. Support. Now this is the one area I probably would say is where I will ding this car, is that as for support, reaching out to Kyosho, I've only worked with them via email. Even the US entity, I've only really worked with them via email. They are responsive when it comes down to email. Now, when it comes down to parts, is when it's limited. Now, you do have other distributors out there that do sell this RC, and the Fazer lineup is not a new lineup, so the parts are there. But you're gonna find that unless your hobby shop stocks these parts, you're gonna find that online is gonna be your friend. And that's what I ended up doing with my other ones that I've worked on, the brush ones that I've worked on. I've always ordered the parts either directly from Kyosho or through eBay. So parts is going to be a little limited in regards to support, but reaching out to Kyosho USA, especially if you're in the USA, is not an issue. And then they have Kyosho Europe, which is going to support everyone outside of the United States. Now, who is it for? And I'm going to say, this is not a 1-star rated RC simply because it's a brushless setup. So I'm going to give it 2 stars, guys. For the brush one, I would give it the 1 star, but for the brushless, I'm going to give it the 2-star, rating for it. Maybe a little bit too much power for the noob, and that's going to roll me right into, is it worth it? Currently, at the timing of this video, this RC is going for $329.99. That's a steal, guys, for a brushless RC. The problem with it is it's never in stock. Never in stock. So when you see it, you gotta grab it because you don't know when it's ever coming back again. I know A-Main is another big one that you can get this RC from. Tower Hobbies, I believe they have an estimated date for December of 2022. Next availability for inventory for this car. It's one of those ones that I will tell you, get it if you find it, because $329 for everything that you get. a very scaled body, even though I wish Kyosho would remove these body pins and get to something of a clipless system, because this body is so scaled, guys. You have this blower coming out of the top, and that's mounted to the chassis. It does have louvers in the front of it. They're not remote controllable, but the louvers in the headlights are, and you just need to mount a servo to them, and you have the louver capability for the headlights. There is LED buckets already built in that you just need to supply your own LED lights for this RC, and that goes for the front and also for the rear. The chassis is a very simplistic chassis, but it works. It's composite, but it works. The tires, as I said, is not something I was big on, but I bought $10 tires for this from Amazon, and it changed completely how this car performs. Now, it doesn't perform poorly with the stock tires, but I just didn't like how it was moving in the areas that I drove it. I had a very smooth surface that I drove it in, and it was just not braking. It was gripping way too much for me. I just want something that I can, if I want to break the tail end out, I can, and you can't. I didn't quite get that with the stock tires. So these $10 tires, I'll put the link to where these tires are located on Amazon in the description below. But these tires for 10 bucks were a complete steal for this car. And the fact that they already provide you an offset for the hexes on this, and they still keep them 12 millimeter, is perfect too. So you're getting all of that for $329.99. A very scale RC, light buckets capability, tons of power on 2S, takes a normal size LiPo pack, does have Dean's connectors, which I'll ding it for that, but swap out your connector and you're ready to go. Otherwise, run with Dean's and have a little bit of resisting with the Dean connector in there. You get a body that has all of these scale bits on here, the wipers, the rear view mirror, the gas cap. I just wish, get rid of the body pins, Kyosho, get rid of the body pins. Would I buy this again? Yes, I would. I actually started looking at some of the other offerings that Kyosho is scheduled to come out with for the brushless editions, and it's worth it, guys. Brushed, brushless, these Kyosho Fazer lineups are worth their money in gold. That's why they're so hard to find them. And I would strongly recommend, if you're looking for a on-road basher or on-road RC and you want something brushless or even brushed, look at these Fazer lineups, guys. It's by far some of the best RCs that you're gonna find out there. But we're gonna leave it here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram for our latest posts to the channel. This is Ready Set RC, signing out. Thanks again, guys.